So my strength is that I'm stubborn. I don't give up. I do not give up. So it's like a dog with a bone. In everything, especially if I'm told, like, is that a good idea, or are you sure, or maybe you shouldn't do it, oh, then I'm going to do it.
The concept of actually going into a ring against an opponent who, like, they match you up, some of your same skill set and your weight, and you're going in there and you've got like 6 minutes of just the two of you in there. In a way, it's very honest because it's just two people against each other. You're fighting somebody, but you're also fighting yourself. There's a lot to learn from it.
He fought a year, but I couldn't go because I don't go back to Iran, and everyone was asking, don't come back to Iran because in the middle of all this, we don't need you to go to prison as well. That was a hard time for me.
And I was just thinking, oh, you know, why am I doing this? But I've kind of shaken that shackle off now, and I'm actually just realizing my concerns about age was just my own mental block to get over.
I really think having the life I have has helped with the training. It's the same with painting. You just get up, come here. Are you in a mood? Are you feeling it? Are you inspired? Nobody cares. You have to come here and do it. Some days are good, some days are absolutely terrible.
Doing some sports, doing some martial arts, doing some physical things, it's good for the mental health. But the bigger battle going on here is the battle to save humanity.
It's Anita, the Brixton Strangler, Razlani.
So my name is Anahita. I'm a painter, originally from Iran, and we are in my studio in London.
My name's Fergal McEntee. I'm from Ireland, Dublin, currently living in southwest London. I now work in renewable energy. I develop solar farms.
So I've signed up for this charity fight, Ultra MMA, for cancer research. Last year, when my friend's son did it, I thought, I've been doing it 10 years of martial arts, I'm going to be amazing, it's going to be so easy. It is not.
My friend Ananita contacted me. Originally, she was looking for somebody like to help spar and train with, which I agreed to do. And then she talked me into, like, why don't you do it? And I actually thought, you know what, I'm too old, I can't do this. I gave multiple reasons why I couldn't do it. Internally debated with myself for several days, and I had the application sent to me by Ananita, and I just thought, okay, and I looked at it. When I went onto the site, there was 4 things you could do. You could do MMA, which is mixed martial arts. There's boxing, there was ballroom dancing, and an option to do stand-up comedy. And I was nearly tempted to tick the stand-up comedy, but in the end, I ticked the MMA.
Don't tell Mom, they want to execute me. Don't let go of my hand. Don't let go of my hand.
I've been having a really tough time since September because the Iranian morality police killed a woman because she was showing some hair. This fight between the Iran and the women about the compulsory hijab is nothing new. It has been going on for 44 years. They arrest them, they hit them, they shove them into the cars, they like sexually assault them, but they're still going on. They go every day outside, do this protest, trying to like put as much makeup as physically possible and show as much as hair as physically possible as a sign of, do not tell me what to wear. And this has been going on for years and years and years, but it has never ended in somebody dying. And this girl was a Kurdish woman. So it just like, it broke something in people, thinking enough is enough. It started a huge, overwhelming uprising of a population that is being called a revolution, because it's in every aspect of the society. There are teacher strikes, worker strikes, students, but they have been killing a lot of people in the streets, people who have been demonstrating, most of them really young, they're Gen Z. I think 60 of them are under 18 years old, so they're children. So as all this was happening, I just didn't know what to do. And then there's just these numbers coming out of Iran saying like, okay, 40 people died yesterday. So when I started painting their portraits, collecting their stories as it is. I asked my artist friends if they would do a portrait each. None of the artists are Iranians, because I think Iranians know everything about what's happening. So then I'll ask like a Greek person, and I send them a portrait of a person and the story, and they make a memorial portrait in the medium they like, send me a high resolution image. Then I print these images on cards with a barcode at the back, so you can scan it and read their stories, and then I leave them in public places. So as you're going around your everyday business, you can just look at these beautiful young people who look like me and you, and they were in the street just asking for their basic human rights. So I have come to this training with a lot of anger and frustrations, and this training helped me a lot for that actually. This last 3 months training so solidly, it's physically, mentally, it's been really great. Helps with the anger, helps with like mental health, helps with physical health. Yeah, yes, I was like so surprised and thankful that I actually had this outlet.
We are the tongue that speaks the truth. We are the song upon the wind. We are the courage to stand forth. We are the change that now begins.
Everything that's happening around the environment is like just absolutely dire. And trying to be part of the change is actually very depressing, because most people have no idea of like what's actually going on, and then people who do decide they actually don't want to acknowledge it. And we've just had the latest Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change report has come out. It's the 6th report, and it's a collection of 7 years' work. It's like 265 authors from 65 countries, and in a nutshell, it's spelling out humanity is going to go to a very dark place, because we have the possibility of having runaway climate change, and most people have no grasp of actually how fatal, how actually deadly this is. Last year in the UK, we had 40.3 degrees Celsius. That wasn't supposed to happen for another 20-30 years. We've got acidification of our oceans, we're destroying our peatlands. The Great Barrier Reef has 3 major catastrophes in the last couple of years. One of our great non-human organisms in the world is getting killed. Anybody actually born today with the predictions of where we're heading are going to live, you know, seeing like civilization collapse. That sounds like a very big statement, but this is all backed up by science. This is factual information, and we're onto this trajectory course of actually destroying our biosphere. And the consequences are going to be, we're going to be fighting more and more for resources. And when that happens, the whole concept of like Budo is going to be more important in the future, of like actually how we survive in groups and we look after our friends and family and the wider context of taking care of people. So more recently, I've got a bit more panicked because of lack of action. I've joined Green Party, Greenpeace, Extinction Rebellion, Insulate Britain, the plethora of all these different groups. And what's happening is the more that we campaign and lobby governments for change, the more governments are coming with laws to actually stop protesting. Anybody who's watching this, we need more people doing support at the stations. So please do that. Down to the last few. How you doing? Is it my turn?
Camera off me, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
That's no problem.
You can film if you like.
What's that?
You can film if you like, that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, it's okay.
So,
Yeah, apologies for earlier.
no, that's fine.
Yeah.
So, you're here as part of this Extinction Rebellion process.
Well,
Okay.
I'm here. What I do is I document
Okay,
things.
I understand that.
Yeah.
So you came onto the bridge at 4 p.m. The bridge was totally blocked. Okay, the highway was obstructed. Okay.
Yeah.
You've been given a chance to leave. You haven't done so.
I wasn't given a chance to leave.
You're-
I never heard that.
At this moment in time, you're under arrest for obstruction of the highway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
You do not have to say anything, but it may harm your defence if you do not mention one question, something which you later on in court. Anything you do say may be given in evidence.
Yeah.
Okay. And the necessity for your arrest is to prevent obstruction of the highway.
Okay. What about tagging my bike?
So that's all going to be sorted now.
So yeah, signing up to do this charity MMA fight, it's now taken my mind off work for this couple of months. It's given me like just a new goal to focus on, and I have to say it's been pretty good for my mental health. Literally getting into like a more of a fighting spirit. And then as soon as the fight's over, the next week is going to be more mass protests on the streets of London. Hoping everybody can come, more people joined in to actually wake up to the actual scale of what humanity is facing.
On this good green earth, we will take a stand with an open heart and a healing hand.
My dad passed away 6 years ago from cancer. He fought a year, but I couldn't go because I don't go back to Iran. And everyone was asking, don't come back to Iran because in the middle of all this, we don't need you to go to prison as well. That was a hard time for me. And then my stepmom got it and passed away. I couldn't go to her funeral or see her beforehand. And then after COVID, I learned that my mom have had it, but she hasn't told me about it. I mean, she's a survivor. Thank goodness, she's well now. But I mean, there's a statistic that 1 in 2 of us will get some sort of cancer in our lifetime.
A friend of mine before Christmas, his wife passed away very suddenly with cancer. And it's the first person I know in our close circle that's died of cancer, and it was very quick, it was very sudden, it was very unexpected. So I'm actually dedicating this fight to Kat and her family. You know, so that's who I'm thinking about. I'm raising money. Fundraising is going pretty well. Amazingly, there's about, I think, 37% of cancers can be treated. So we need to have a lot more awareness, and you know, doing a charity event for cancer research is a pretty good thing to do.
So the idea is that you supposedly get trained. It's like an amateur fight, but there's nobody there who've never thrown a punch in their life. They come from like boxing background or Muay Thai, some kind of kickboxing, Muay Thai. But for me, when I joined the club for the Japanese martial arts, Bujinkan, I've never thrown a punch in my life. For me, then it was zero. But then when you come to fight, it's very different mentality. Sparring is different. Limitation, you cannot gouge somebody's eye out, you cannot break anybody's arm. So, a bit limiting. But then you learn new things.
The way the program works is for the first 2 weeks you can train, but you've got a minimum limit that you have to fundraise, and also a certain amount of minimum tickets that you sell to the actual event itself. It's a very interesting concept, the fact that you don't know who you're going to be fighting till 4 days before the event, and the fact that we're all training together. So when you're going around the training room and you're doing some sparring, you're doing some takedown, you're some grappling, every time you're trying to like weighing up that person, both mentally and actually physically, what is their weight, what skills they have, what their background is, you know, how good are they, how strong they are, also what kind of person they are, what's their character. It's one of the more kind of interesting things about competing and being in a boot camp with people, knowing that one of these people is going to be your competitor.
12 years ago, there was a documentary made by a British TV about the Iranian female ninjas, saying Iranian government is training female assassins, and they've been to this dojo and they filmed them, and I was like, who are these women? So martial arts is really big in Iran, like all female classes, and they were really good. And I thought, I really want to do that. So I found this club doing Bujinkan, what they do, and then I went there, and they were such a friendly bunch of people. And I have been to a lot of martial arts clubs since, and it's so rare that you find a place that is not, I'm going to say, testosterone ridden. I just think our club is so female friendly. As a card-carrying feminist, I think, yeah, otherwise I wouldn't have lasted. Some of my dearest friends are people in the club now. Like, yeah, mostly I go to see them. So once a week, go see my friends, hit them a bit.
After I finished university, I spent a little bit of time traveling around North and Central America, and I ended up living in London, and I tried out a couple of different martial arts when I first came over, and I didn't find any that kind of like suited me. Then I moved to West London when I was 31, and I found a local ninjutsu club. It was a small little training hall in Hammersmith. The place was packed, and there was this instructor who was throwing people around the place on a concrete floor. I was like, whoa, this guy's good. So fast forward now, nearly 19 years later, that's Dunk, who's now preparing me for the fight. The essence of Budo is to prepare for all different types of techniques. We learn everything from empty-handed to weapons, and the whole concept is that you're relaxed in such a way that you expect the unexpected. It's kind of more of a concept of survivalism. You go back to the feudal history in Japan, and we had the samurai, and people have heard of like the mystical ninjas, which were actually just ordinary people who were like figuring out ways of surviving, really. So a lot of the techniques in that, it's you use bow, hand bow, you use sword, knife. So it's a very wide open syllabus, but it doesn't really kind of get picked up in the general martial arts because it's non-competitive. So we don't do actually any competition. And when you watch like the likes of MMA, we don't do any of that kind of traditional one-on-one sparring. So you don't find the likes of like MMA fighters traditionally coming from a ninjutsu or Bujinkan background. But for me, I quite like doing it. It's interesting. The techniques, some of them are very similar. You've got holds, strangulations, you've got throws. It's about distance, timing, balance. So it's good having a background in a martial art.
All the arts are so different from each other. And then what we do, I feel, is really practical. And so often you just think, I remove myself from the situation, and that's the smartest thing you can. But in sports, you cannot remove yourself from the situation. You need to stay there and win it. So when I was going to the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu classes, there were so many things that I have never done. And it was so shocking for me. I was thinking, I have been doing this for a really long time. Why am I so bad? And I don't have much time left. I have 4 days. So I had a cry. I had a low point, a really low point. And then since then, it's just gone up again. I feel like then all of my trainings from all this time has like clicked and they found their place. It's just like transferable skills. I'm using them now unconsciously. But no, I definitely had a low point. Everything ached. From my neck, everything is bruised. But yet then you have to get up the day again, next day, and drag yourself at 6 a.m. to get beaten up again. It's not easy. And you're just saying, why am I doing this to myself?
A moment of like kind of going, oh shit, what have I signed up for? Was actually probably the very first day turning up to the KO gym in Bethnal Green, and there must have been maybe about 100+ people, and it was chaotic, and there was everybody just standing around outside, not knowing what was going on. A lot of people are coming to like just to have a look to see what it's like, thinking about doing it, and then very quickly the numbers started falling off, you know, so the numbers are dropping of like people thinking, oh, actually this is not for me, you know. But I did have on my first night there, I suppose a little bit of like, I don't know, maybe ageism really, of like, you know, I'm surrounded by like people who are a lot younger than me, and I was just thinking, oh, you know, why am I doing this? But I've kind of shaken that shackle off now, and I'm actually just realizing it was just kind of like even my concerns about age was just a mental block, my own mental block to get over. Not too much of a difference, I might be a little bit slower, you know, but in terms of strength and technique, it's just as good as anybody.
So my strength is that I'm stubborn. I don't give up. I do not give up. So it's like a dog with a bone. In everything, especially if I'm told, like, is that a good idea, or are you sure, or maybe you shouldn't do it, oh, then I'm going to do it. It's the same with the art. I mean, it's not just that, like, your dad tells you, like, go and get a proper job, and you just think, this is it, I'm going to sacrifice everything and be an artist. No, like, you obviously have the passions. But I think they translate a lot, this kind of training and life as an artist, because you work and you work and you work towards an end. Sometimes it's an exhibition. You have put everything in it, and then the result is sometimes out of your hand. And then you can go home thinking, did I just waste some months of my life, a year of my life? Or you can just think, it's not about what happened in that opening, it's about the process. And it takes some time to get to that Zen place. Even like the older you get and that breakthrough still hasn't happened for you, then you just think, I have a lovely life actually. I do what I love. So I've started treating the training the same. I say, I'm enjoying this training. So whatever happens on that night, it happens. And you just don't give up, because you have to do it. You can just have this like idea of, you cannot have an idea of a great painting or a work of art. You have to do it. And it's going to be shit or it's going to be great, but you have to do it. It's the same with training. You cannot just like have a plan. You just have to do it. And you just have to drill it in. It's not like, okay, I know this technique, I'm going to be, you cannot. You just have to have done it so many times that your body is just going to do it without you thinking about it. I really think having the life I have has helped with the training. It's the same with painting. You just get up, come here. Are you in a mood? Are you feeling it? Are you inspired? Nobody cares. You have to come here and do it. Some days are good, some days are absolutely terrible.
I've been doing a lot of work practicing boxing techniques. I've got a couple of leg techniques, but to be honest, striking isn't my strongest point. With Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, it's all about locks, holds, throws, strangulations. So depending who I go against, because there's some guys there who are actually very good at wrestling and actually very good at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well. But depending who I end up with, I'm probably going to go down more the wrestling route. So trying to not get punched or kicked too hard when I go in for a takedown, and then start working on my ground game. I'm not really too worried a case of like actually winning or losing. I'm just going to turn 50 just afterwards. So my fighting name is Fergal I am 50 McEntee. So some people do charity walks and various different things, you know. So I thought I might as well do something big. Bit of a challenge, go into a cage, and I'm probably the fittest I've ever been in my life. It's a win-win. Raising money for charity, telling my friends and family about it as well, putting yourself out there, and also hopefully motivating more people to take up challenges in life.
I'm giving it everything, like I'm training to my limits, if that makes any sense. I'm doing everything I can, so I don't leave any room for regrets later, thinking I didn't do everything I could. And then whatever happens, it happens.
Raised a lot of money for charity, got a lot of training in, made some good friends. Just disappointed I didn't get to kind of last longer. Didn't get into the ground game at all. Yeah, Isaac, yeah, he seems a pretty nice guy. You know, there's definitely no bad feelings between us. Except getting punched in the face like that.
Training twice a day for 2 months and over in like 5 seconds. You cannot imagine the disappointment. I still get really angry thinking about it. I need to get back in the cage. I need a win. So I am training to keep the fitness to see if I want to do this again. I think I just did this monkey on my back. I need to get it off by winning, basically. Yeah, I'm not a good loser.